Hey, it's your boy, Mike the Situation, Sorrentino. Welcome to Statute of Limitations. It's the ultimate lineup. It's crooks.
This is not my fault that I stole this car.
It's con men.
This is my chance. I can be rich for life.
It's wannabe kingpins.
We all made together $500,000.
And queen pins.
It was basically a lounge of criminals.
These are stories of the nonviolent lucky punks and Robin Hoods that dodge the law.
I could have gone to prison, not jail, prison.
Because here's the situation, baby. It's only a matter of time before the statute of limitations is up. And technically, you might walk away scot-free. But don't take it from me, guys. I'm obviously no lawyer. This is Statute of Limitations. What's up? It's your boy, Mike the Situation, Sorrentino. Welcome to the show where we find folks who once upon a time committed a crime. This episode, we have a military man who took the term high seas a little too literal, and a dude whose job made it feel like Christmas every day when he played a little game called One for You and One for Me. We go now to the high seas like the Wicked High and a guy who spent 20 years smuggling drugs across the world. But he sailed past the police long enough to get away with it all. Meet John.
My name is John, and I smuggled drugs for 20 years. While I was in the U.S. Merchant Marine, I smuggled marijuana, I smuggled hashish, and I smuggled cocaine. And I never got caught. In 1980, I joined the Merchant Marine. When you're on a boat, it gets rough, you get seasick. But marijuana, the THC, relieves the nausea. And so there's a joke. That's why they call it the high seas. And my first foreign trip was to Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And that's the first time I was involved in drug smuggling. First thing you do when you get to foreign port is you find a good cab driver. He took us somewhere near Port-au-Prince, and there's no street lights or anything like that. We gave him some money, and he took off. And a little while later, he came back, and he had a few ounces of weed. It was good stuff. We brought it back to the boat. And so wherever we went, we would score weed just for the seasickness. I never smuggled for cartels. Everything was for personal use. Anyway, I started getting trips to like the Mediterranean, to Africa. One of those trips, we went to Abidjan and the Ivory Coast. 3 other guys, they went to score weed in Abidjan, and they got set up and they got busted. The company had to pay a ton of money to get them out. And of course, these guys were all academy graduates, and they lost their licenses and everything. I learned one thing when I first started working. If you hang out with Americans when you're in a foreign port, they're just gonna get you in trouble. They're gonna get drunk, they're gonna do some stupid shit. You can get screwed over by association. Like one time we went to Morocco, and that was probably the first trip where I kind of led the adventure to go score. As soon as the ship hit the dock, we're on the beach. It's like 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning. We got us a great cab driver. First, he takes us to a coffee shop, and he takes some money and he leaves. And while he was gone, a police officer walked in. So my 2 friends, they're like freaked out. We get back in the cab, and he actually hadn't got anything, but he knew where he was gonna go. And so he took us to an area, and then of course he got out. Came back a little while later, and we had several ounces of hashish. My friends are afraid to touch it, right? Because they think they're gonna get busted by even touching it, and I'm just like, give me that shit. Basically, I had the balls to do it. You know, a lot of people, they want to get high, but they don't have the balls. You're lucky that you had someone like me who did. So I was sticking it in the pocket of my jacket. And so we go back on board the ship. We had to smuggle it out of Morocco. you got to put it somewhere where the customs agents can't find it. The best place for that is a chain locker. And so what we do is we take 35 millimeter film bottles and we stuff it full of the hash and then hide it behind the angle iron. So it's got a horrible odor already. They just raise the hatch, look down in there. Okay, looks great. And if they bring a dog aboard the ship, you sprinkle pepper in different locations on board the ship. And when that dog gets a snoot full of pepper, that dog ain't worth a damn the rest of the day. You know you're in business. You could have smuggled pounds, kilos, but of course we never did that because if you're smuggling large amounts, that's how people get busted. And once I became a licensed officer, I was kind of like the kingpin, you would say. It was like in '85, I got married for the first time. And we had a baby, and, you know, once you have family and you have other people that can be affected by your actions, you know, you think twice about it. But I ain't gonna lie, I'd gotten away with it every single time for so long. I still continue to do it. When I started smuggling cocaine, the first place was out of Japan, and I flew back to Hawaii. I noticed when I was wearing the uniform, when I went through customs, they didn't even give me a second look. They'd see me, wave me through. I'd put my bag on the conveyor. They'd let it go through, and I'd walk down the other end, pick it up. And so I was like, wow, I bet I could frickin' smuggle coke like this in my bag. Of course, I'm only gonna start with a small amount, like a few grams. That went through, no problem. And so then once you get that through, you get a little bolder, you may get a couple ounces. And then that works, and then you end up with a whole key. The most I ever smuggled like cocaine was like a kilo, like this much, something like that. When I was in Rio de Janeiro, I flew back off of that trip. I brought a key back with me there. Panama. Well, Panama, it was so easy to get there. They didn't have hash in Panama. It's just cocaine and weed, and you just keep it on board the ship. On a trip back from the Mediterranean, we got some hashish, and we're going into New York. And of course, in New York, they're gonna bring dogs on you, know that. So you've already gone around with your pepper, you got your stuff all stashed in the locker and everything. I didn't think about it. I was using a 3/8 inch brass fitting that you get from the engine room and using that to smoke the hash in. I had taken the pipe and I'd stuck it in my pocket. So customs came on, you know, and I'm out doing my thing. They're doing their thing, searching and checking everybody so they can go ashore and leave and stuff like that. Anyway, then it comes my turn. So they take me in my stateroom. I'm wearing these red welder's gloves. I knew they were gonna ask me to empty my pockets, but when they got in there, they're raising the mattresses and looking in the drawers and stuff like that. So my hand brushes my pocket and I realize, oh my God, I got this freaking pipe in my damn pocket. And so they weren't paying attention to me, so I took it out and I couldn't move because the room was small and I couldn't go anywhere without getting their attention, so I just stuffed it in the glove. Anyway, they looked around and they didn't see anything, and so they were all happy, and so they were like, okay, we're done. And so we all get up and we start to walk out. And one of them reaches over and picks up that welder's glove, and he holds it up and the pipe comes rolling out. I was shaking my boots because I thought I was screwed.
Oh, ship. That's right, guys. Another pun by the situation, but the gloves are off. The heat is on, and John's standing there with the authorities holding his pipe. He thinks he's screwed. I think he's screwed. But what he doesn't know is someone's about to bail him out. Find out how John escapes his sticky situation on Statute of Limitations next. We are back with more Statute of Limitations, where my man John, he's in deep trouble. While trying to smuggle drugs on board a ship, some incriminating evidence lands right at the custom agent's feet. So, how's this budding Pablo Escobar survive to tell his story? He's got an unlikely ally in high places. Watch this.
So customs came on, and I'm out doing my thing. They're doing their thing, searching, and one of them reaches over and picks up that welder's glove, and the pipe comes rolling out. I was shaking in my boots because I thought I was screwed. We still had a bunch of hash on board down in the chain locker, so the last thing I wanted was these guys to have a reason to start checking other things. They were like, "Hey, what's this?" I don't know. I've never seen it before. Where did this come from? And I'm like, dude, I don't know anything about it. And they're like, no, something's wrong here. We're going to the captain about this. So we all go to the captain. Captain, look what we found in his stateroom. And so the captain says, so what? It's a 3/8" brass fitting. We got 100 of them in the engine room. If you want another one, go get one. And they're like, well, no. It has a screen in it, and we can see something's been burnt on that screen. And the captain's like, do y'all have anything else, or is this it? And they're like, well, no, we just found that. He's like, okay, well, great. He goes, I'm busy right now, and so y'all get your asses off my ship. He goes, I don't have time for this bull. They left the boat, and I got off scot-free. And that was the closest I'd ever come to getting caught. I did 20 years in the Merchant Marine. I retired, and I would never, ever smuggle drugs again. That's something I did when I was young, and now I'm old. I just ain't got to do it anymore. They have those shows like Locked Up Abroad, and I almost got away with it. And I've always watched those, and I'm like, what the hell are they going to do? Someone who actually got away with it for 20 years. And that was me. And actually, finally, I found the show.
Yo, big props to John for writing the ship and getting his life together. He avoided jail time and served up a whale of a tale, baby. Woo! Now that's fire. Now it's about to get personal. This is a story of a Cali dude who started as a personal shopper and became a secret seller of stolen stuff. It could have landed him in prison, but maybe he sold his soul to the devil because he's here to share his secret. Meet Chris.
Hi, my name is Chris, and in 2012, I stole a lot from a billionaire family that I was a personal shopper for. In LA at that time, my parents, they scrapped up all the money they could, middle-class family, and they sent me to this school that was really expensive, and I was just surrounded by really rich kids. So clearly, I didn't have nearly as much money as they did, but I had my own style. I could go to vintage shops, I could go to pawn shops. There's a lot more work, but I needed a job after school. And a friend of a friend hooked me up with this gig working for this billionaire family where I would buy all their stuff. So the dad was a real estate mogul. He was flying around the world all the time, never home, neglected the wife, neglected the two kids. The wife she didn't know what to do with the time. She just bought a bunch of stuff and ate a lot of brunch. The kids, same thing. Handbags, jewelry, clothes, the whole nine. Your typical influencers. They needed therapy, man. So one time I bought the wife this handbag she really liked, and she went on vacation and lost it. So ever since then, she's like, 2 of everything, Chris. 2 for me, 2 for the kids, everything. It got to the point where I had to store this stuff in my apartment. Boxes everywhere, boxes to the ceiling. I couldn't even get in my own kitchen. But then I realized they didn't even use one of this stuff. So if there's 2 of everything, I could sell one of them, they wouldn't even notice. So I decided to give it a try. I grabbed this $200 vintage shirt they had sitting around for months, and I went into a pawn shop. I was nervous about it. I pulled the trigger, got an extra $200. So the next few weeks, I couldn't sleep. Like, Are they gonna ask about this shirt? Am I gonna get fired? Am I gonna go to jail? But then nothing happened. They didn't ask me about it. They didn't care. They didn't notice. I was in the clear, baby. Drinks on me. So the way I thought, if I could get away with a $200 t-shirt, why not a $1,000 bracelet? Why not a $5,000 handbag? So the next 2 months, boom, 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 I was in every pawn shop, selling every duplicate I had. I was making money. And at one point, I sold 2 of the same handbag. And just my luck, the wife wanted it. And I didn't know where I sold it. How could I remember? I didn't write it down. I was just making money. And she wanted it. She had this big party that night. It went well with her dress or something. I don't know. But she called me 4 times. She's like, Chris, where is this bag? I don't see it anywhere. And I'm driving around town. I can't find it. I must have gone into 6 shops. I found the shop where I sold one of them, and they sold it. Great, awesome. I'm going to jail. I kept going that day. I went into 3 more shops. I find the second handbag. It's on the shelf. I'm like, hey, can I buy that? And the guy's like, didn't you sell this to us like a week ago? I'm like, no, it's okay. I need it back. I got it to the wife like an hour before the party. She didn't know anything. I didn't get caught, but I had to change some things. I had to be more careful. I started writing everything down. Where I sold everything, what pawn shop, what item, what date, all the data. I wasn't gonna get caught this time. So as a personal shopper, I was making $1,000 a week. I could make up to 10 grand a month as a personal seller. Life was good, man. I was making money, I was treating myself, I was treating the people close to me, and they didn't know a thing. So 2 years into the gig, making good money, the family decides to move. They need an even bigger house. I don't know why. Stuff can get lost in the shuffle, if you know what I mean. This was a big chance to score. They're not tracking any of this stuff. They got a lot of other people working for them, a lot of stuff they want me to buy for it. This is how I'm gonna do it. I can be rich for life. Such a big undertaking. I gotta bring in another guy. I had a buddy from high school. He's a little sketchy, but I knew he'd be willing to do this kind of thing. So we get to work. We're writing everything down. We're in every pawn shop from San Diego to Santa Barbara. I was working so much I couldn't even spend the money. But I couldn't stop. It was so much money. Business was booming. How could I stop? You gonna say no to 10 grand? I'm not. All of my time was consumed by this. So one day the wife calls me and says, hey, we're in the middle of the move. We're missing some stuff. Do you know anything about it? I was like, no, everything should be at the house. She's like, we may be rich, but we don't like being stolen from. We're gonna check the security footage. And I panic. Oh crap, the security footage.
Trust me, that secret eye in the sky, don't blink. Find out if Chris can buy his way out of trouble on Statute of Limitations next. Way back in the day, our man Chris was stealing tons of stuff from the rich family that employed him. But while he was making all that stuff disappear, he was also creating something in the process. A trail of evidence, all thanks to their security cam footage. How's he gonna get out of this? The same way they should have been able to put him away. Roll the tape.
She's like, we're gonna check the security footage. We may be rich, but we don't like being stolen from. I think this is it. Oh crap. Security footage. I might have misstepped here and there. Are they gonna see me grabbing something from the basement? Are they gonna see me wheeling out a box or 2? It's been so long, I can't even remember now. I'm like, I wanna help you get to the bottom of who's doing this. Who's looking at the security footage? Do you want me to talk to anyone else on staff? And she's like, I'll take care of it. And walked away. I got scared. She didn't trust me. I know she thinks it's me, so I gotta cover my tracks. I got all this stuff in my apartment. Should I put it back in the house? Should I get rid of it? I gotta talk to my buddy, like, hey man, have they talked to you at all? Like, maybe we were hanging out one day at the house and they know who you are? My mind's racing. I gotta get everything out of my apartment. I have so much stuff in there still. If I get a knock on the door, they're gonna see that. I tried to sell some stuff to pawn shops, but I couldn't do it fast enough. I threw away tens of thousands of dollars of items right in the dumpster. So I know they're going to be checking the tapes every day. And now I'm just thinking back to every time I walked through the basement and there was a camera on me. Every time I was walking up the driveway. They had this place under constant surveillance. I'm looking up how long does footage stay in the system for. If it's a month, I'm okay. I don't think I've taken anything from there in that amount of time. But if it's more, I think they got me red-handed. One day, the wife calls me in and says, "Hey, Chris, can I talk to you for a second?" I think this is it. She sits me down and says, "Chris, about the security footage, I think I should be running for the door." And she says, "Chris, I want to put you in charge of it. I want you to get to the bottom of who's doing this." I'm like, "What? Are you crazy, lady? Who do you think has access to all this stuff?" On the inside, I'm popping champagne bottles. I'm partying. I'm like, whew! She doesn't suspect it's me. She trusts me. But on the outside, I'm like, of course, I can totally do that for you. Anything you need, I'm going to help you out. Am I in there red-handed? Am I taking stuff out of the basement? Hour 6, I found something. They have hundreds of hours of footage here. They're not going to notice if 6 minutes is missing. So, delete. I give her a report. I'm like, I don't find anything here. Could be these movers you have coming in all the time. But your footage is only stored for 90 days. So chances are it's been deleted already. They let it go. So I continued to work for them for the next few months, make sure the move went smoothly. I was like, hey, it's time that I do something else. So on my last day as a going away present, the husband didn't even know he liked me. Came up and said, "Chris, you did a good job. I want you to have this." He gave me a $5,000 Rolex. Little did he know, I already have 2 of them.
Yo, 3 must be the magic number, especially when it comes to those Rolexes. I guess he's the type of person who will rob you and then help you look for it too. Wow, those people right there are the worst. Anyway, even after stealing countless high-end designer goods, none of which were Fugazis, you know what I'm saying, Chris is lucky as hell. He's home free. Damn, we could probably all learn something from him. That's a wrap for this episode. I'm Mike the Situation Sorrentino. Be sure to check out more high-flying, law-defying folks that fought the law and won. Next time on Statute of Limitations. Capiche? Peace. This program is for entertainment purposes only, and it is not legal advice. The statute of limitations are complicated and depend on many factors. If you need advice, you should seek legal counsel from a competent attorney in your jurisdiction.